starts with. I mean, this game's called I.
I.
Letter I.
So what we are doing here is just putting up our formwork for our concrete grade beam. Each room is outlined, as you can see. Actually, not even each room, because this right here isn't an outline of anything. But we needed this because there will be a door right about here where the two squares come up together, or you know, whatever. And then over here there's going to be a door going into our bedroom. So the concrete, like I said, goes in here. It'll be 12 by 12. It'll go up 12 inches and be about 12 inches wide throughout. And it will only go in this maze of wood. And what you see inside each of these, I guess, squares or boxes, that'll just stay as it is. We aren't going to do anything more with that, I don't think. But on top of this grade beam will actually go our joists. And so our joists will sit up 12 inches high, and our floor will end up being about 24 inches off of the ground. But what we have to do next, after we get all these boards lined up and in their place, is take, see these, what do you call them? These stakes with the orange on top. That's actually our level mark, and so we have to take gravel now and fill up throughout this area to match, or to get level, so that everything sits level. Our concrete comes next week. We will then be able to start our bricks. Thank you.
I can be a rock star.
Dump a whole bunch right here. Fill it in right there. The guineas got pretty soaked last night too. They refused to jump down from their perch on top of the chicken coop. Well, I think this could have been predicted, but I guess I had hoped it wouldn't be this bad. Did you put on makeup today?
I did.
You look like Marilyn Manson.
The beautiful people. The beautiful people.
Well, we finally got to start the rebar. Last week we tried, or James tried I should say, to do some of it, but it was just too difficult and we ended up having to make several trips to the store. On top of that, we haven't really been feeling very well lately. I got sick last week and it just kind of put a damper and a hold on everything. But we finally figured out, or James did, James finally figured out a good method for bending the rebar and hooking it together, or tying it together. So he's just continuing work on that. We did have to reschedule some things. It's okay. We did have to reschedule our concrete yet again, just because I got sick, and with 2 kids and everything going on, it's really hard to handle a whole household and build a house at the same time. You want them to meet your puppy? What's puppy's name?
On the back.
That's its back.
Turn it around.
Turn it around.
And around. Back.
Yeah. We had some pretty good storms last week, and it actually ended up washing out part of our culvert, or our bridge. It washed out about 4 feet of our bridge, which we can still get across luckily in our truck, but we have to fix that before the concrete truck comes out. So it's another reason why we had to reschedule the truck, so that we have time to do both the rebar and fix the bridge a little bit more. Luckily we have some gravel left over from the driveway, so we'll be able to use that.
Put it down. Thank you. Hooray! Is that a big one?
No. Not baby. Each one.
So this morning I am tending to the garden area. Kind of went neglected around May. It started raining a whole bunch, so I didn't really need to water it at all. And I got really sick in May and wasn't able to get out here as much as I wanted to. And it's overgrown, weeds everywhere. I mean, I guess if you want to call them weeds, they're weeds, but there's frostweed everywhere and just, you know, native plants, weeds as a lot of people would call them. But I just couldn't get out here to tend to it at all. I have these cattle panels that I use as my trellises because I like to do vertical gardening as much as possible. And I had, you know, my loofahs growing on them, my cherry tomatoes, also my melons were growing. But while being out here so far this morning, I have discovered some pretty cool things that I didn't know were happening. And it's very funny to me because you put so much work into gardening sometimes, so much work, so much effort, and it doesn't always work out the way you want it to. I planted peppers 3 times in this garden, 3 separate times, because every time I planted them, the pill bugs, I had so many pill bugs this spring because it was so wet, and the pill bugs would just eat the plants alive. It was really obnoxious. And they were, you know, probably 3-4 inch seedlings already, so they weren't huge, but they needed to go out because I use soil blocking. And I finally had to give up and say, you know what, fine. I put little cup collars on them, tried to prevent it as much as possible, but eventually they were just overtaken by the pill bugs, and then eventually grasshoppers once the grasshopper started breeding and coming up and stuff. So I just left it be and said, you know, I'll try to figure it out next year because that's all you can do sometimes. My peppers and loofahs and melons were doing great. And, you know, like I said, I just got sick. I didn't have time anymore to worry about it. So anyways, I left them there, and lo and behold, through no rain for 6 weeks, through just absolute entire neglect, not doing anything whatsoever in this garden for at least 4 months. I'm guessing it's more like 5 months at this point. I have peppers, and it's really funny. They're not huge or anything, but I have peppers. They're growing all on their own, and they're beautiful. And my tomato plants, my cherry tomato never died. So if you really want an outstanding tomato plant that just will never die on you, it's cherry tomatoes. But my paste tomatoes are also growing, and I'm really happy with them. They are called Bonnie's Best, and they're even spelled the same way as my name. So I had to buy them when I saw them in the seed catalog several years ago. I finally started growing them this year, and they're awesome tomatoes too. If you want some awesome paste tomatoes, those are great tomatoes. Yeah, so anyways, I'm gonna finish tearing this thing apart so that I can move it. And I never said that, did I? I'm tearing this garden apart so that I can move it up on the hill toward the house. But yeah, so I'm just gonna continue tearing this thing down. About 2 months before our first frost comes, and so I'm just going to leave these things here until they die. Maybe we'll get some more cherry tomatoes, and our loofahs, we'll have plenty of loofahs for a really long time. I'd really love to learn how to make soap and put the loofahs in the soap, but obviously that's not happening anytime soon.
And I pray that it is temporarily. Lost for so long, but you make me feel that I am on something true, something real. You make me believe, you make me feel again. I get